fine. It's just a bunch of people hanging out. It should be all right.
Indeed it is. Gonna pick up our pre-registration badges for tomorrow's big day and Sundays.
Come on, dude. Go.
It is.
I am so fucking excited. I saw another 3 times because
Just buy it.
Into this hallway, please.
you are officially off duty. Yes. Welcome to Tora-Con.
Probably like 75, 80.
Where the badges pick up.
I have a splinter in my butt. There's a splinter in my butt. There's too many layers.
It's been on the RIT.
I can't believe somebody else. Are you both taking it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Vendors have arrived. We'll be working on all night. Should be open first thing in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah, you do that first.
Got our badges and heading out to the car and head over to my buddy's house.
That's why it's easy.
Rockin' with Dawkin.
Actually, I come on and met you and just know.
I'm at Wegmans to pick up a few items.
Dip your pizza in that. All they need is just these and
Candy.
that's all I need. No stuff fun. this spaghetti I get. All grain. Francesco Rinaldi, Ledestri Foods, Fairport, New York. Serviced by CSX, by the way.
Nice.
Yep.
Almost NFL season. Saturday, April 14th, 2008. First day of Tora-Con.
Not yet. If you know where they are. Yeah. At the very least, if it's on.
It says, welcome to Japan. And I was like, oh, I'm home. Like, it was just that feeling, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate, that all the sights and culture and foods and things that I was seeing, they made sense from those cartoons that I talked about in the beginning. I was like, oh, this is where everything comes from. So, the next 5 tips are for during your visit, what you can do. Okay, my first tip. Do not exchange your money beforehand in the United States. I didn't know. I thought I wanted to have a bunch of yen in preparation, right? You never know how it's going to go going to a foreign country. So they charged me something like 10% or 1%. I'm not a math teacher. But I got 500 yen and they charged me 50 American dollars to make that exchange. So when I went to the Japanese airport, I exchanged all my money, wasn't charged anything, they gave me the best rates. I was like, oh wow, thanks, that's easy. So you really should not exchange your money until you get to the Japanese airport. This was a bridge at my hotel in Hakone. I swear to God, it was the bathhouse from Spirited Away. Okay? So that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. This is Japanese pajamas, which I could never sleep in because, I don't know, it's a lot. But I actually was a little sneaky, and I don't know if I recommend this, but I covered my tattoos with really big band-aids because I wanted to go into the onsen. I'm like, I'm not going in because I'm in Japan, I need to go, right? Which, I'm going to talk a little bit about cultural mistakes that I made towards the end, but one of them was at the onsen. Okay, so I exchanged some money beforehand while I was in the United States, but they charged me for it, so you should not do that. If you exchange your money in Japan, you'll get the best rate. It's super quick and easy. I was like, oh my God, I just wasted $50, right? Okay, tip number 7. Now that you're in Japan, you have a lot of expenses. You have a lot of souvenirs that you want to get. And then, my bane, gachas and crane games. Japanese crane games are the most insane things in the world and they don't make sense. I actually learned that there's not too much skill or strategy, just that there's like a little timer, and when the crane game hits that timer, that's when it's going to get you the prize. Can't tell you how many times I got a prize and it just like lets it go. I was like, what was that? Okay, but you should come up with a little budget, and I want to make a little plug. I don't know this person, but I saw that tomorrow at 3 p.m. there's a budgeting in Japan panel that might elaborate this some more. But I went to Japan, I got in my hotel, I had an idea of how much money I wanted to spend for my whole trip, and I came up with a little daily budget. Stuff I wanted to spend on food, stuff I wanted to spend on souvenirs. You won't really get a great idea of your expenses until you get to Japan, and that was for me personally. People might be different. Once you're there, sit down and figure out how much money you'd like to spend each day. And this is where the already paid for meals are like, yeah. Like when you have meals with the tour group, you're like, I don't have to pay for that today. Awesome, right? So I came up with a budget, and I actually went under my budget. And I spent the rest of my yen in the Japanese airport on my way back to the United States on like all the food that I was going to miss until I went. I just spent all my yen there. So this is essentially gambling, but it's fun. And when you're in Japan, you should do it. But make sure you don't spend all your money at the gachas and at the crane games.
Isn't gambling illegal in Japan? Technically no.
I went in a lot of casino-looking places that smelled a lot like cigarettes, so I'm going to say no.
Well, I'm told that they go. Technically, they win stuff there, and then they go to a separate place in order to cash in their winnings.
I don't know. I have no clue. I know they have slots though. Or what? You guys probably know. There's like what? Yes, those. Yeah, those are very popular. So these are all my gachas by the end of my trip, which actually I thought I had a lot more. I had a lot of bad luck though. Like I would go to a brand new gacha where I didn't have any from the set, and I would get the same two right in a row. I was like, oh, well, my friend has one now. So I got a lot of gachas. Oh my god. I didn't include a picture. There are some rare, interesting gacha machines, like used ladies' underwear. I did see one of those, but they have gachas for everything you can imagine. I bought some gachas of like little spooky vegetables because I love Halloween and they were scary looking. Okay, so they range from $1 to $5. They're very good quality. They're good souvenirs.
DVDs, all right.
My 8th tip: eat fast food. What? Well, for starters, Japanese fast food is way better than the United States. I had McDonald's in Japan. I was like, oh my god, this chicken nugget tastes like chicken. I was like, oh my god, it's so good. Okay, and their food is actually made a lot healthier than ours. They leave out a lot of the chemicals, and a lot of the food is rice-based, so all in all, it's healthier for you. But I have a real point to this, even though I'm half serious. Okay? When you're touring on a really long day, you probably won't have Wi-Fi access. You may not have an international data plan. You may not have a way to catch up with the outside world. So fast food chains are a great way to get out of the heat, get into some air conditioning, you get some free Wi-Fi, you can stop in, check in with home. Okay, so I was in McDonald's a lot, and their McDonald's are usually pretty big, like sometimes multiple floors. So it's not like rude if you go in, don't order anything. It's not like you and the barista's right there or anything like that. But yeah, on hot days, they can save you. You can get a drink, you can cool off, you can check your Wi-Fi. So that is why I do recommend you go to some of the major fast food chains. You won't really be guaranteed Wi-Fi in like Japanese restaurants and stuff like that. So if you're out shopping, if you're out touring, they're a good place to stop for that. All the places I went to had English menus. I won't really get into it, but there's this kind of prejudice that Japanese people have against foreigners, where even if you're a foreigner and you speak fluent Japanese, they won't believe you and they won't speak to you in Japanese. So if they see you and you're a foreigner, they'll pull out the English menu, which I didn't have a problem with. I thought was very helpful. With some of the J-vloggers I watch, after living in Japan for 10 years, they're like, I don't need an English menu. I did. And they even let me point. I'm like, this. So they make it really accessible for foreigners to come. My 9th tip: get lost. Just lose yourself. I don't recommend woods or anything like that. Woods are scary. But Japan is such a safe country. You should just get lost in the cities. Don't be afraid to explore, follow twists and turns. Now, I can only speak from my experience as an American 6'6" tall white male, but Japan is a very safe country. So for the most part, you will be okay traveling by yourself at night through even the most, now I love this picture because this is just like, you're like, oh my god, that's Japan, right? When you look at it, and there's so many side streets that look like that. You can wander and just get lost, and like I said, it's very safe. Now, I did pass by one man that was like, naked massage. I was like, no, I'm good. So, you do want to be aware of that. So my next tip for getting lost is to search for landmarks to use as reference points. I picked out a lot of really tall, oddly shaped buildings that I could see from all the way around the city. So if I looked up, I could see that building and kind of have a little bit of an idea of where I was. And that'll help you not to get lost. Don't panic. Easier said than done, right? Bless you. Bless you. As my college professor would say, bless us all. If you think you're lost, take a deep breath, relax. You're in Japan. It's the best place to be lost. Okay? You will find your way back. So do not panic. That is probably the worst thing that you can do. A next really good tip is that your phone's GPS works while your data is turned off. It doesn't mean you can enter an address and track your way to someplace. It means that that little dot on the GPS will track you and follow you. So on my way to certain destinations, I was looking at my GPS, okay, this is this street, this is this street, this is this street. So even without your data turned on, your GPS will follow you. I have to tell you one funny thing. Streets in Japan usually have like a divider, like, and it's probably shrubbery or grass or something like that. And if you're in the United States, any street probably, you could just run across, right? I tried to run across the street. I get met by this like divider. I'm like, oh my god, I can't climb over this. So I like tiptoed around it because it was just like in the way. So don't be afraid to get lost and explore. That was when I was at my happiest and just healing. Like, ooh, what's this? What's this? You really get to see all of that. This is Kyoto Station. Huge. And I got lost in it. And I kept following my way up and up and up, all these stairs, just kept looking, and I found myself on the rooftop. And it was just this beautiful garden, and I could see my hotel from the sides there. And you actually can't see it, but this is a silhouette of a couple. I just thought it was like a beautiful, just like little picture. I didn't ask them, sorry. But you know, getting lost and exploring is so rewarding. I actually called my mom because I had Wi-Fi and I used WhatsApp. Bonus tip. And it was just like one of those things, like, Mom, like I'm on top of Kyoto Station in Japan right now. It's gorgeous. Okay, my last tip before I have a bonus tip, and I'll take questions if you have any. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. You're here because you love this country. Don't be too hard on yourself. I have to admit, I'm a pretty sensitive person. If I made cultural mistakes, I was like, oh my god, Japan hates me. Like, how could I come here and do this to them? And so I want to talk about a little of my cultural mistakes. But this phrase right here is going to be one of your best friends. Gomen. That's all you have to say, gomen. Or if you want to be extra polite, gomen aside. Okay, gomen aside, gomen, right? Because I got to make mistakes. This picture is from Nara, where there's lots of wild deer. And deer are sacred in Japan, so they are not hunted. So they are not afraid of you. So they come up to you and they're like, because they want you. They have little cookies. Yeah. They have little cookies that you can buy and feed them. And they say, don't leave any papers hanging out of your pockets because they will grab them and they will eat them. Okay? But they are very sweet, and I was petting them. They were all coming up to me whining. As long as you're respectful and learn from your mistakes, it'll be okay. So I want to talk about two things. Both actually were in the same onsen. That one where I snuck in with my tattoos covered. So, here's how onsen worked. And I should have looked it up beforehand. I thought I knew. Okay? So, the thing is, you have to shower before you get into the onsen. The onsen isn't like the bath. It's where you go to relax after you're all clean, right? So I showered in my room, and I went down, and oh my god, there's all these rules. Because first of all, you have to be naked in front of everyone, right? And I'm like, I'm in Japan, right? I'm not going to not go in an onsen. So, I mean, there's all these rules about like where to place the towel as you're getting in and where to place the towel after and all that stuff. But around the onsen are all these shower booths where people sit naked and clean themselves, right? I didn't do that because I showered in my room. But these other people didn't know that. So I get in the water and they're all kind of like looking at me. And then they all like slowly one by one like get out and go to the outside onsen. And I'm like, what did I do, right? Well, if you get into the onsen without washing first, you're dirtying the water for everyone else. They didn't know I showered beforehand, right? So that was one of those things where it was like, oh my God, they hate me. Like, how could I do this? And then this is one time too, I forgot to take my shoes off before went up the step, or going up the step. And the guy was like, shoes! I was like, go man, go man, go man. Okay, that's your phrase. One thing I wanted to add too that I forgot to talk about is, I think we're all pretty intelligent people. We've gotten to this point in our life. We can read, speak well. Imagine going to a foreign country and becoming illiterate instantly. I'm in the bookstore or in the CD store. I'm trying to look at the alphabetical order. I can't make heads or tails of their alphabetical order because I don't know how it works. I'm like trying to read the bindings. I'm like, listen, I don't know what I'm looking for, right? I felt stupid. There were little kids that had a higher speaking and reading level in Japanese than I did. That was a very humbling experience, okay? But it's a good one. Okay, so I have a bonus tip for you. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. I found a TARDIS because I thought that was pretty, we would all get that, right? Jodie Whittaker. Okay? What the point of this is, you need a wallet. A girl wallet. I don't call it that, but you know, like wallets that females have, like the long ones. Because Hinge, okay? I had a Cheshire Cat one that I got from Hot Topic because I thought it was cool. I had a girl wallet. Well, it came to use in Japan because you need a zipper slot for your coins. Japan doesn't have any bills for an amount smaller than $10. So $5 coins, $1 coins, 10-cent coins, 25-cent coins. You're going to have a lot of coins. So you need a wallet that will hold your bills and your money in a zipper.
Off to the Gordon Field House for the vendors. Finally moving.
You guys are late.
Yeah, see, man? That's actually the gray hair.
Yep.
You're right, it is something. I was thinking of Joe Swanson. That's fine.
Yep.
I love my question.
There's it. Vendors and artist alleys.
I think it's I'll be able to do it. This kind of reminds me of the flea market.
Well, it looks like they open on the other side after all.
Oh, it does.
And right on time, too.
The Holy Spirit came down to me and told me that's what I should post for another picture, and that's what I should.
Everyone like that? How would you know?
Finished having lunch, had to drop off something to my buddy's car, and now I'm heading back to the Gosnell building for anime character designing.
You want to know?
What do you think? Snow relations? I have to answer.
Go take a guess. Did you see or did you agree? I wasn't prepared. Ohio! What do you think snowhalation means on the board? What does snowhalation mean? You don't know, do you?
No, you're looking up something I remarked
About what snow? Did you Google what snowhalation meant?
I just Googled what halation meant, and now I'm
It's confusing, right? So
It's confusing.
well, no, it's extreme.
And I'm like, what does that have to do with snow?
Yes. That's Hey! You know School Idols 101! Hi, I'm Chica. This is Aqua. This is my group. We have a Yo over here. We have a Mario right here. We have a Johanny right here. We have a Rico right here. We have a Ruby right here. Say hi, friends.
Hello, friends.
No, my friends, say hi. Hi.
Oh, hello!
There we go.
My little demons, all here for me. Take it down a notch, Yoshiko.
You got us. Now is not the time.
Take it down a notch, Yoshiko.
Well, our little Hanamaru over here wanted to write down the question, what does snow halation mean? I just want to know. Would you like to read them off?
Yes. It's you and me. It's all of us.
Is it a microphone? Oh, no, I can hear. We have technology here. What?
It's you and me, it's all of us. Something that makes me cry every day. Hi, welcome to Chili's. Bread, extreme ultraviolet lithography, and a blessed curse. Which one? You pick. I like this one. It's very welcoming.
Hi, welcome to Chili's. Okay, so here we are going to teach you guys what it takes to be a school idol, because if you want to be a school idol, it's important to know how to do it. I had to research how to do it, and I watched so many of Muse's videos, and I just idolized them. Look at them right here. We have Muse here in the house. Oh my God, guys. I can't even. But we're going to go over 3 different important topics, the 3 most important which we've decided. First, we're going to have Hanamaru and Did you draw a little bat? Well, yeah. We're going to have Hanamaru and Johanne go over the personality. What personality you need to have to be a school idol. Ladies, take the floor.
Well, I chose not to record anything for the anime character design 101 for various reasons, and then I chose to leave school cosplay 101. Just got a little bit carried away for me. Now we're heading back to the Gordon Field House, and I'll meet Eric Valve and have him sign one of my Dragon Ball Z DVDs. Waiting in line for Eric Valve.
And then Belarus was flying the bunnies in there, and so this is this year is
At least I made it in time this year. I don't know where it was last year.
yeah, he's not a very big fan.
Looks like military training.
It's not like
Yeah, you want me to? I'll move back a little bit. No, you're fine. Oh, is that okay? Yeah, it's like, I don't think it's gonna matter. What's up?
I was just saying that, Josh. He's right there.
Guys, it is like your cat.
Let me get the one.
He said it is canon.
What? Sip? Sip?
There's 2 items limited for guest signing. In addition, Eric Valve.
Where did that glitter come from?
Have to do it so
Attention attendees. If you have lost an item in the vendors and art area or anywhere in Greenhouse, please come to the Greenhouse info booth where the lost item must be located. Thank you everyone and have a nice day.
Got Eric Valve's autograph for the in the Tora-Con booklet. And I also got him signed the History of Trunks DVD. This was something that Chuck Huber signed about 4 years ago when he came to Tora-Con. But today I got Eric Valve to sign this. I'm done with the vendors, and now I'm heading out to the Lowenthal for the behind the scenes of Vocaloid. First in line, waiting for the behind the scenes with Vocaloid.
Members of a university, I do not mean students, I mean they were engineers, they were professors, they were people who worked for the university. And together they made the Vocaloid editor and look at the word lamb. You'll see something beside it that we call the phonetics, and it will have translated those phonetics into symbols, whether they be letters or numbers, whatever. Those sounds that you would make in saying the word lamb or singing it becomes translated into phonetics, and that is the programming language. It's really, really fun. They use the language called X-Samba. X-Samba is the same type of programming language that converts phonetics into a typable language. So that's what Vocaloid used. However, back in this generation when they made Vocaloids, they started out the same way. They gave the voice provider the script, we would sing the script, they would take those samples, but instead of hacking them into bits and immediately start programming them into the program, they instead made a digital copy of every sample that that voice provider made. So this is not Miriam Stockley's voice that you're hearing when you use this Vocaloid. Miriam Stockley is the voice provider for the Vocaloid Miriam. That is not who you're hearing. Instead, you're hearing a digital copy of her voice. It was very different, and they only did this type of technique with Vocaloid 1. They did not continue it into the further generations, which is why most of the Vocaloid 1 Vocaloids are now considered null and void, because as Vocaloid continued to upgrade, as the software changed, these Vocaloids became retired. And if the companies did not invest in making new recordings, programming those recordings in the way that things are done now, then these Vocaloids were going to die. And sadly, these three have since been retired, because unfortunately the Western companies do not make the sales, they do not make the money that the Japanese companies do, and are therefore unable to upgrade their software. Much more natural sounding Vocaloids. So Sweet Anne was the first. Now, I would hesitate to say that Sweet Anne still remains one of the best sounding English Vocaloids ever made. She's very hard to use. I'm not sugarcoating it here, especially if you want to use her in the original Vocaloid 2 editor. If you're able to import her into Vocaloid 3 or Vocaloid 4, she's far easier to use because a number of her bugs have been smoothed out by the upgraded engines. However, in Vocaloid 2, she is more difficult to use, but beautiful she remains. And she ended up being commercially sold by a new company called PowerFX. Now, PowerFX had been in attendance at that exact same convention where they showcased Vocaloid 1. But they weren't quite sure about whether or not they wanted to invest. They were like, okay, let's see where the technology goes. And when Yamaha started showing demonstrations of Vocaloid 2, they were like, okay, we're ready to invest. This is what we want to do. And so they bought the commercial license for Sweet Anne and went on to finish her and get her released to the public. PowerFX has been responsible for quite a few Vocaloids. They were also responsible for one of the first male English Vocaloids of the Vocaloid 2 generation, and that is Big Al. Now, Big Al is sort of the black sheep of the Vocaloid 2 generation, in that it took him, was it months or years? Like, it was a long time to be released. Yeah, it was, because originally, his voice provider was an Elvis impersonator named Michael King. However, Michael King could not complete the recording. Well, I don't know if it was that he couldn't complete it, or he completed it, and then they processed his voice, and the Vocaloid engine did not like his voice. Unfortunately, I don't have the sample to share with you of how it sounded, but take my word for it, it was horrifying. Please look it up. Look up original Big Al voice on YouTube. I'm sure you can find the clip somewhere. It's pretty bad. It's no fault of the programmers or of Michael King. Sometimes Vocaloid doesn't handle certain voices well. We don't know why, it doesn't make any sense, but sometimes it happens. And you just have to be like, okay, we have to get a different voice provider. So they did, and they got a gentleman by the name of Frank, who was a voice actor, and he did the voice. I will be sharing a sample of Big Al's voice with you in conjunction with Sonica. I wrote a song using both of them. And I want to play for you as an example of Vocaloid 2 programming and show you how Vocaloid has progressed over the years. Honestly, this is the generation in which we got the least number of English Vocaloids, but the ones we got were really quality for the most part. No, I'm joking. I love Oliver. I have issues. I have always had issues. And that's why I use lots of tissue during my coffee. So, Vocaloid 3 was a very, very bright future in that the quality of all the Vocaloids we got was changed. Now, Oliver is an interesting Vocaloid in that I believe he was originally designed to capture the spirit of Prima. He was a specialized Vocaloid when he came out. He was voiced by a young man who was a choir singer. I believe his voice provider was 12. Maybe 10 when he started and 12 when he finished. I don't know. I don't really remember. I think he was around 12 years old. And because of that, Oliver has a choir boy voice, which is something that is very unique to, Western styles of music. Yes, we have choir singers from all over the world, but normally when you think of church music or you think of hymns being sung, I don't know if you're like me, but I tend to think of like, a big, beautiful European church and a tiny, cute little person who might win Britain's Got Talent. But he was very, very, very successful, especially in Japan, but for different reasons than you may think. Because what Japan likes their little tiny blonde boys, as Len is a testament to, if you guys are familiar with Len. And I have seen things with Len and Oliver, which I've never seen. But he was very successful regardless. Then we got my freaking queen right here. Ivana, for those of you who don't know, I was hired to do Ivana's artwork and work on her tirelessly. I did. Ivana became one of the very first Western vocaloids to become a huge global phenomenon. Now, Oliver was very, very popular in Japan, but he didn't reach necessarily the overseas spotlight quite like Ivana did. And we could kind of point Ivana's success towards one particular person. And I will be playing you a sample of the song. A gentleman by the name of Porter Robinson, who some of you may be familiar with. How many of you have seen Shelter the animation?
Yeah.
So, quite a few of you. If you haven't, please watch it, and after you're done crying, tell me what you think about it on social media. Porter Robinson is a young DJ and musician who has become very popular as of late due to how much he loves the Japanese community of content creators. And he got really into Vocaloid to the point where he decided to purchase his very first Vocaloid. And I've actually talked to him on Skype about this. He said, and I was so flattered. He said the reason he bought Ivana was because he liked how cute she looked on the box. And I was like, I'm sure that. And I'm sure really flattered. But he used her on 3 tracks of his album. A song called Sad Machine, a song called Fragile Snow, and then a song called The End of the World? End of the World? It's something like that. End of the World, World's End. I can't remember. I just listened to it and cried inside. But Sad Machine became super mega uber awesomely popular, and people learned what Vocaloid was, and they wanted that voice bank that he used. And so a lot of people went out to buy to buy Ivana. And then it led them to Vocaloids like Oliver and Sweet Anne and Yo-Yo Lloyd later on. And we saw a boost in Western Vocaloid sales that we had not seen for years. So Power Effects would go on to make another Vocaloid. They made Oliver, and then they made Yo-Yo Lloyd. Yo-Yo Lloyd was the first Western-produced bilingual Vocaloid. Now, there have been other bilingual Vocaloids at this point. There was Megardina Luca, who was a Japanese-produced Japanese and English bilingual. There was Siyu, who was a Korean and Japanese bilingual. And then we had Yo-Yo Lloyd. Yo-Yo Lloyd also had a name behind the voice. Yo-Yo, who is his voice provider, is a Swedish visual K star. Very, very popular both in Japan and in Sweden. I think he also might have won Eurovision one year. Vocaloids in the Vocaloid 1 generation. That was 3 out of 5. You know, it was quite a few in comparison. With Vocaloid 4, we got Cyber Diva, Cyber Songman, Dex, Dinah, Ruby. Has anyone else got it yet? Not yet. But we got a whole bunch of more bilingual voice banks. We got an update to Luca. We got an update to Miku. We got Rin and Len got English voice banks. We see more and more people investing in Western Vocaloids because more and more Western producers, Western fans are wanting to get the English voice banks. So the first English Vocaloid to come out in this generation, not to be worked on, but to actually be released in this generation, was Cyber Diva. And here's where I get angry. Who does this look like to you?
Lady Gaga.
Exactly. I did not mind this. I was a little bit, but I was like, you know what? I see what they're trying to do. Yamaha decided that they were going to make their first English Vocaloid since the Vocaloid 2 generation. They were like, hey, we can do things other than just make the engine. We can make Vocaloids too. And they had been doing so, but most of them have been Japanese. Finally, they were like, you know what? We're going to make an English Vocaloid of our own. It's going to be better than yours because she's going to be American. So they did. And everything about her marketing, her marketing was embarrassing, ladies and gentlemen. Not because it was necessarily bad, but because they didn't necessarily make the right choices when saying certain things. They would say, why are people still singing? We're in the digital age. Use a Vocaloid. And I was like, oh, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. But she was an American voice Vocaloid. We hadn't gotten an American voice Vocaloid since Big Al. But the issue with Big Al was that the script they used was designed for the European singers and did not take advantage of an American accent. Well, Yamaha made up a new script for Cyber Diva, and it took advantage of the American accent. So American she did sound. She almost sounded overly American, but it was very, very refreshing. She was a youthful voice, very, very beautiful sounding, a little nasally, but you know, you come to expect that by now in Vocaloids. It happens sometimes. And she was very much being geared up for sale in the United States. Look at her. She looks like Lady Gaga, who was really big at the time. Lady Gaga. Of course they would want to market something like that so that people who didn't even necessarily know what it was would buy it anyway just because they like Lady Gaga. It seemed like they were headed in the right direction, and I was so excited. I was so ready to buy her. I was ready to go into a music store and buy the very first American English Vocaloid. Where was she sold? Japan! She wasn't even for sale digitally in the United States. You had to do all these crazy things in order to purchase her in the United States. You couldn't even purchase her on the English Vocaloid store. You would go on there and it says, this is a Japanese product, only for sale in Japan. And you'd be like, the frick is wrong with you people? I want freaking Lady Gaga Vocaloid. Why can't I get freaking Lady Gaga Vocaloid in the United States? It took them a year to have her for sale in the United States. And you want to know what? Her box set is still not available in the United States. I had to import mine from Amazon Japan. It's not even in English. The only English is on the cover of the freaking DVD. The back is completely in Japanese. Not even the manual is in English. Who did they make this Vocaloid for? That being said, she's really good, so you should get it. She's still not available as a DVD, but she is now available as a digital download on the Vocaloid shop. Please show your support. Yamaha made a bad choice. They fixed it, though. They owned up to it. They probably heard me rant about it and heard how angry I was. But no, Cyber Diva is an absolutely fantastic Vocaloid and a much-needed boost to Western Vocaloids in general. Yamaha would go on to make her counterpart, who was Cyber Songman. And Cyber Songman is one of the first, how do I say this? He's a black singer, and they advertised that he was black. And unfortunately, even though we have had Vocaloids that have been voiced by black singers, Leon and Lola respectively, they were voiced by European R&B singers and jazz singers. They weren't advertised as such. And what was so promising with the Vocaloid 4 generation, which took us long enough, is that we finally started getting people of color, not only in the European Vocaloids, but also in the Western Vocaloids as well. They had started out in the V3 generation, starting to get Vocaloids of color, but this is where we really started to see them coming through, and it could not have been more embraced by the community. Cyber Songman, equally. If you like the way Cyber Diva sounds, you're going to love the way Cyber Songman sounds. He is amazing. And I cannot recommend him enough. If you are new to English Vocaloids, Cyber Diva and Cyber Songman are a good way to go. Somebody, I don't know, not all music has to be like that, ladies and gentlemen. You can get really, really super beautiful music if you try hard enough. And especially if you are a lover of language in general, nothing is more fun than writing English lyrics, because you learn what beautiful words are out there, what beautiful symbolism you can create with just a very, very simple hand. It's also important because there's people like me and my good friend Circus here who are trying to make a living doing this. I quit my day job, ladies and gentlemen. Up until last year, I was still working a part-time job, but it came down to my passion versus a steady paycheck, and I chose my passion, and it hurts really bad. That's why I want your money, by the way. Please buy my album. But no, I do this because I love it. Because I love Western Vocaloids. I love music. I have fallen in love with the English language once again. And it's also important because the Western companies don't see the profit that the Japanese ones do. You just have to walk into the vendor's hall and go like this, and you'll see something related to Miku. Like for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a Miku thing. Try doing that with any other Vocaloid outside of the Japanese ones. Heck, you can still find even the rarer Japanese Vocaloid merchandise. Like, someone like Una. Una is a new Vocaloid, and she has, she has hats, she has pencil cases, she has, plushies, keychains, etc. It's harder to find, but it's out there. There's no actual established store for Western merchandise, aside from mine, or aside from an artist who might be on Etsy or on Store Envy. There's no established, infrastructure really for Western Vocaloids outside of what we, the producers, give it, what we, the fans, give it. And if you, the fans, don't want Western stuff, then we're not going to get any more Western Vocaloids. They don't sell as much as the Japanese ones, so therefore the company can't invest in fun business ventures like the Japanese companies can. I mean, if you were at my last panel, you will have seen the Miku's Dominoes app. It was awesome, by the way. It was very embarrassing, but it was awesome. There's companies like Hello Kitty. There's Hello Kitty themed Vocaloids. And you may laugh, but she's one of the best Vocaloids out there. You just don't have the same thing in the West. And that's because we're not showing a proper respect for the Western Vocaloids and the Western Vocaloid community. So it's up to us the fans, us the content creators, us the people of the United States of America, and wherever, anybody else is welcome to join us because we love it. We're all inclusive. To show support to the Western companies, the Western Vocaloids, the Western content creators, and the Western fans. So what does the future hold for Western Vocaloids? Well, we're going to see more Vocaloids. I'm currently working on a bunch. Well, I say working on. We have plans for quite a few Vocaloids in early stages. None that I can talk about. Just know that it's something that's being worked on. There's Voc America is now a thing. We're going from place to place. We're doing our shows. We're trying to spread the love out there. There's all sorts of things that are possible. It's just a matter of when and where will it happen. So keep your eye open, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll tell you one thing. If you guys want Voc America to come back here next year, and you guys didn't get to see the show last year, and you want to see a Western Vocaloid concert with Western Vocaloids and Italoids and other vocal synths, let Tora-Con know, and I will come back at the drop of a hat to bring you whatever it is you want that I can afford, feasibly. I hope that with time we can give birth to our own established Western Vocaloid culture. It's starting, ladies and gentlemen. It has been building for years. More people know about Vocaloid now than ever before. It has tapered over time about the amount of creators, but I would tell you more Western creators are coming out of the woodwork every day, and that is incredibly encouraging. I would like to see us have the ability to buy Western Vocaloid stuff that isn't made, that we don't have to get imported from Japan. But don't get me wrong, again, I love all the Japanese Vocaloids. I love all the media, but I would love to see more Western established stuff. Nothing would make me happier. Because then, of course, I'd be able to ply my trade and pay off my student loans and all of my bills, and that would be fun. Also, it's keeping distracting me. Don't the chairs look like those black pieces of paper that you get to scrape off and it makes a rainbow picture underneath it? Oh, yeah. I just wanted to point that out. Yeah. Anyway, completely off. All right, so we need your help. Again, support Western Vocaloid culture. Go out there, find out a Vocaloid that you like, listen to their music, become a fan. If you want to start making music yourself, look into purchasing a Western Vocaloid. They are the cheapest out of all the Vocaloids out there. Dex and Dyna regularly go on sale for $40 each. That is pathetic. Please buy them, because you can afford it. You know, support producers, support the artists, support the dancers, support anybody out there who wants to do, you know, Western vocal aid content, and support yourselves. Just go up there, share it with each other, have fun, continue the fandom, and spread news about it, and that's the best way that things are going to become popular and get the recognition they deserve.
Actually, a friend Dana who
the Gosnell building.
no, she did that. I think.
I was here earlier for School Idols 101, which didn't suit me. So later on, I'm going to be doing Vocaloid Psych 101. Well, I chose not to record for that panel since it was a very, very sensitive subject for what they talk about. Plus, it was 18 and above. And yes, they did ask me for photo ID. Basically, the panel was about, you know, Vocaloid and some of the sensitive songs that they were talking about. Depression, you know, and the list goes on. So I just chose not to record it. Now I'm in the SAAU room and ready to go upstairs and get my ride back to my buddy's house, and I'll be back tomorrow for the second and final day of Tora-Con.
No, people always drop their change. I want to see if there was an extra 25 cents left. I have a quarter. I only have a dime and 2 pennies left. I lied on that, maybe. If I had $1 million. Wait, do you have? It worked, but like it won't. Do you have a dime? No. That's why I was thinking if I had $1 million.
Sunday, April 15, 2018. The second and final day of Tora-Con 2018. Didn't make it back to my buddy's house till about 10 o'clock last night, and didn't go to bed till about 11:30 p.m. Been up since 9. Rochester had an ice storm and a lakeshore flood warning, and sure enough it did ice and sleet, and as you can see it's just still raining. Definitely not the weekend for weather for Tora-Con. Now I'm heading out to the going back to the Gosnell building for Name That Anime.
Movies. So we're going to have 20 images here. Yeah, Ninja Batman. Blue?
The Wind Rises?
No. White? Yep.
In this corner of the world?
Yes, in this corner of the world. Blue?
Cowboy Bebop?
Yes. Alright, next up. Red and back? Yes, Mary and the Witch's Flower. All over here, left and side. Yes, Boy and the Beast. Over here, yep.
Napping Princess?
Yes, Napping Princess.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Watch out, dude. Don't cut yourself yet. We got like another hour to go. Okay, think.
Is this from a movie or
what was that?
Movie? No. The Anohana movie.
Nope. Alright. JD? Mind game? Not mind game. Alright. Yep.
Is it Summer Wars?
Not Summer Wars.
Just
Too late. Alright. This one is Glue Over the Wall. Alright. Next up. Oh, yep. Nope. Alright. Nope. Alright, so this one is Liz and the Bluebird. Nope. I didn't say the anime had to be out. Come on. Blue?
Girl who leapt through time?
Yes, the girl who leapt through time.
Yep.
What side? Not Hell Girl? In the gray in the middle?
Ergo Proxy?
Not Ergo Proxy?
Higurashi?
Not Higurashi?
Sword of Stranger?
Not Sword of Stranger? Not Basilisk? Nope. Nope. Not Ninja Scroll. All the way in the back? Not Future Diary? Not Egg? Not Hell Girl? Alright. Oh. Not Dead Man Wonderland? Not Akira. This one is not JoJo. This one is Millennium Actress.
Wow.
Oh man. Should have said that. I was thinking of it.
Alright, now that we got like a whole bunch of movies out of the way.
Wrong panel, guys.
Yep.
Wrong panel.
Yes, Nanaha. Specifically Reflection. But yeah. And drive out the buffalo for that. One aside? Yep.
ReZero?
Nope, not ReZero. Yep. Nope, not one more in there. Nope, not Soldier. Alright. This is from another one that got announced that was going to get released in the summer here. That one. It got announced like Thursday. It's coming to the US. Well, you know, I keep this panel up to date. Alright, speaking of not keeping things up to date, aside? Yes, Angel's Egg. Alright, what's up? Flat in the middle?
5 centimeters per second?
Yes, 5 centimeters per second. Alright, next up.
A silent voice?
Yes, a silent voice.
I saw it and I was like, damn.
I know, I've seen it 5 times already.
Flat? Yes, this Hokusai. Flat there? Not Tokyo Godfathers? Not Wolf Children?
Why the hell do I know this? Oh, I knew Wolf Children.
Alright. Hit everything else. So this one is Mirai of the Future. Another movie that has not come out yet.
Future of the Future.
There's a trailer. You people can watch this. Stay up to date.
Isn't that just the future stuff?
Does someone not have a ticket from coming in? Did someone not get a ticket when they came in? Alright.
So, you just an answer to this or a ticket?
No.
What's this? What was that? No. That? Nope. Yep.
Dressary?
Nope. That? Nope. Back. Nope. This one is Hakara-san, Here Comes Miss Modern. One that had a very limited U.S. release. I don't think the DVD's out yet, but this one got out there. Yeah, Pokemon the first movie. Great.
That was like the easiest thing for everyone to do.
Right.
With the amount of hands that were moving,
What's the blue side? Yep. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. Yes. All right. So that was at the movies. And yes, they were all anime movies.
I knew that was.
So here we are.
You're so sweet. I've always fallen over stuff. Like, I'm that person to be like standing somewhere and just like see somebody and know it, kind of like wait.
Is this where we got?
Well, this is it. Heading out to my buddy's car, going over to his place, pack up, go on home. Chose not to record the Just Saying panel since it was a recap of all the things going on in Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. But I think it was a great year. And thanks for watching this. And hopefully I'll see you at Tora-Con next year. Take care.